Has Maryland gone stark raven mad? Are the suns about to shine on sports betting? Can DC still capitalize on its wizardry with a new state entering the market? Does this mean DFS is no longer a Cardinals fan in Arizona? If you appreciate these puns or have ties to Arizona and Maryland, you are in for Oriole treat on this episode of Play USA to Z. Hey gang, I'm Jessica Welman, back in the saddle for another episode of Play USA to Z, where I break down the biggest headlines of the week from the US gambling world. Things are really moving quickly these days, so be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the Play USA news channel, and ding that bell to get notified on the latest, because there is a lot to keep tabs on. Today, we're going to talk about Maryland and Arizona. Two states you may not think have much in common. However, they both passed sports betting legislation within just a couple of days of each other. Additionally, there are some unique elements in common between the two markets that we actually haven't seen many other places before. So first, let's take a look at Maryland, which we have been expecting progress from since a voter referendum legalized sports betting in November 2020. Then, we'll switch gears and talk about Arizona, a state that caught us all a little flat-footed with how quickly the bill progressed from discussion to law. First up is Maryland, though. I talked about how Virginia and Maryland both legalized sports betting via voter referendum at the same time back in November of last year. While Virginia had a little hitch in its giddy-up and quickly rolled out a product by January 2021, Maryland took until April to come up with a sports betting plan that lawmakers could get on board with. As of Tuesday, Governor Larry Holden has yet to sign the bill into law, but once he does, the bill actually doesn't take effect until July 1st. However, this legislation has an emergency designation, which means that Maryland Lottery and Gaming, the regulators, can go ahead and get started drafting regs, putting together applications for operators, and all the other elements you need to launch a regulated sports betting industry. When it comes to licensees in Maryland, there's a potential for the state to dole out a lot of applications. In total, there are 110 different licenses available for sports betting operators that fall into a few different categories. The biggest chunk of licenses are the 60 available for online betting operations. The others fall into four categories of retail sportsbook licenses. Some are reserved for the largest casinos, racetracks, professional sports facilities. There's some for smaller casinos. There's some for companies with fewer than 25 employees. And a fourth group that falls somewhere between bigger than 25 people and not a casino. Let's start with the big licenses. Having retail sportsbooks are normal enough. What is a new wrinkle that we've actually started to see creep into regulations elsewhere is licensing sports facilities as sportsbooks. In neighboring Virginia, for example, the Washington football team has a sports betting license that it operates in tandem with FanDuel. The team, via its venue FedEx Field in Maryland, has the opportunity to do the same there. FanDuel and the team will have to obtain one of these 60 online sportsbook licenses as well, but FanDuel could actually do that without a big partner like a casino or a team. Camden Yards and M&T Bank Stadium have yet to announce any sort of deal, but I think all Raven fans are hoping they can go to a home game and bet the yippee-ki-yay Justin Tucker promo that he'll kick a 50-yarder, right? To be more serious for a minute, if you are wondering how this is going to work, expect the teams to have a very hands-off approach to day-to-day betting concerns. Essentially, the teams can profit from selling their retail access and the stadium and arena branding to an operator. Then it's the operator that does all the legwork. Don't expect Harbaugh in the room setting the lines on Ravens games. All right, now on to the element of Maryland sports betting that's super interesting. The state's pretty hell-bent on bringing new names into the sports betting space, which is a good thing. There are 30 retail betting licenses designated for places that are small bingo halls or sports bars, and special credence is given to those that are minority-owned. So much so, the regulations actually currently stipulate that minority-owned businesses could get first mover access for online betting launch in Maryland. Meanwhile, major operators like DraftKings and FanDuel potentially could be sidelined up to a year unless they partner with one of these companies. Injecting some diversity into the very corporate sports betting business is an admirable goal, but some questions about how small businesses with limited budgets can meet the minimum internal controls of a very regulated industry. What went down in Tennessee with Action 24/7 certainly pushed pressure on the regulators to make sure that small businesses are being held to the same standards as everyone else, even if that may keep them from entering the market. It'll take at least a month or two before we start seeing license applications in Maryland, but keep an ear out for new partnerships, which will be picking up in no time. And with that in mind, be sure to follow @PlayDMV on Twitter for all the news around Maryland, Virginia, and DC gambling. And be sure to check back into our newest site, playmaryland.com, for all the latest on sports betting developments. All right, now that we've covered Maryland, I think it's time to go west. And with that, I think I need an outfit change. Voila. To give you some background on Arizona, much of the industry sentiment was that Arizona was kind of like California light, in the sense that it seemed like getting all 26 Arizona tribes on board with a sports betting bill was just too difficult to get that legislation across the finish line. Much like those of you who thought Carson Palmer was washed by the time he joined the Cardinals, we were wrong. The end product of sports betting in Arizona evenly splits 20 licenses between commercial and tribal entities. Like Maryland, some of the commercial licenses are set aside for professional sports teams and venues. The other 10 are for the tribes, although that part is already drawing some criticism. There are currently 16 tribes operating casinos in the state, which means that some of them are going to be on the outside looking in. Moreover, it is going to be difficult for any of the 10 tribes not currently involved in casino gambling to even get a foot in the door about sports betting. Representative Sally Ann Gonzalez essentially had her own Mr. Smith goes to Washington moment about how this bill treats tribes. During the House floor debate, she proposed several amendments, debating all of them, but all of them were defeated. Included among them were some attempts to balance the availability of tribal licenses. In her data, she claims that 17 of the tribes would be negatively impacted economically by the bill in its current form. There are definitely some questions about how helpful this is for tribes, but it's pretty clear the sports leagues are excited about the developments in Arizona. Both the PGA and the NBA have already announced their partnerships in the state. The PGA course TPC Scottsdale is going to be working with DraftKings to bring a retail sports book to the course itself and online betting to the state. The Phoenix Suns also quickly partnered up with FanDuel to use Phoenix Suns Arena as the home of a physical sports book and the license to get FanDuel's online betting app up and running in the state. This is the second team licensing deal for FanDuel, along with the previously mentioned Washington football team partnership. No word yet from the Cardinals, Coyotes, or Phoenix Raceway on possible partners, but it's never too early to speculate. Meanwhile, William Hill / Caesars / whatever you want to call it have a couple of options. They work with the Ak-Chin tribe on Harrah's Ak-Chin near Phoenix and could go for a tribal license, or, given William Hill's relationship with the NHL and the Vegas Golden Knights, a license through the Coyotes is certainly a possibility too. In most states, 20 operators is generally enough for all the major players to get in the market, but it will be kind of interesting to see which operators the tribal casinos partner with and just who might be on the outside looking in. Speaking of outside looking in, for fans, the piece of the Suns FanDuel deal you may not like is this. According to the press release, FanDuel is going to ring fence Phoenix Suns Arena so that the only app that will work in the stands and on site is FanDuel. So if you want to bet on the NBA, you're probably going to need to download and deposit on FanDuel. Now, will other operators and teams in Arizona follow suit? That's something we will be tracking at our other news site, playaz.com, where folks like myself and others will be covering Arizona gambling news from, well, A to Z. All right, if that isn't a hit, it's time to wrap up this video. I don't know what is. So in the meantime, I'll see you next time on Play USA to Z.